Hi, 8th graders. I'm Mrs. Manganello. I'm one of the librarians here at the high school. I'm excited to meet you in the fall, and I'm here to tell you about summer reading. Now, the page that I'm on is our main homepage for the SBHS library. You can access that from the high school main page. On this page, you'll notice that we have a link to summer reading. And if I click on that, it's going to bring you to a letter from me that talks about the specifics of summer reading this year at the high school because we have changed it from what you've known in the past. So in the past, we gave you a set list and an assignment to go along with it. Both of those were due at the start of school. This year, we are asking you to read a book of choice, and your assignment is to come back to us ready to share that book with your teacher and your friends as part of the beginning of freshman English. Okay? There's no written assignment. If you want specifics on that, you can read the letter that went out to district parents from our English supervisor, Mrs. Jennings. So, and that's located here. So if you're interested or if your parents are interested, this is a great place to steer them. Now, we've given you a bunch of things to read this summer because we didn't want you to say, well, what should I read? I don't know. All right, so at the bottom of my page, you'll notice there are three different categories. One is reading recommendations, one is sharing your selections, and one is joining the journey. And each of those are going to give you ways to participate and engage with reading and books over the course of the summer. So we're going to start out with reading recommendations. On this page, you're going to see two things right off the bat. It says at the top, what is Mrs. Manganello reading this summer? Follow me and find out. So the first two things you'll notice are there is a link to the high school Goodreads page. And every time I read a book, I post a Goodreads review of that book. So if you're wondering what I've been reading, you might look here. You could also follow me on Goodreads. Uh, the other thing that I have here is my attempt at Instagram. I haven't done Instagram before, but I'm going to try it for the summer and I'm going to see how it works. So if you want to join my journey and come along with me on my Instagram trip, you can follow me on Instagram. You'll also see all my Instagrams posted here, so you can come and take a look whenever you're interested. All right. Third thing that you'll see here are some book recommendations, and we have them split up by fiction, classics, nonfiction, and by genre. So if you're one of those people who likes to read sports books, you might see here a link to different sports novels that we would recommend. We also have a couple of other things here. We have the Reading Rants and Raves, which is by your local teen librarian at the public library. And we also have Reading Resources Beyond Print, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to start out with fiction, and I'm going to try to give you some ideas about what you might want to read. So here's what you're going to find on every page. Up at the top, you'll see a link to this video that you're currently watching. And again, it's going to give you that basics, okay? You're required to read one book. We'd love it if you read more, but you're required to read one over the summer, and you should come back to school prepared to share the title, author, and your brief description of what the book was all about with a classmate, okay? So below are some suggested titles, and I'm going to run through them just so you get a sense that there are a lot, but I'll give you some highlights as we go down the list. Okay, if you like a magical world, let's talk about The Children of Blood and Bone. This is the first of a trilogy, and this was actually the Tonight Show pick last summer for books to read. So you might try this. It's about a girl who has her own strange kind of magic in a world where magic is being crushed by the ruling party, and they have to try to escape that crush. So you could try that. Oops, I'm scrolling really quickly. Let's see what else we've got here. All right. Let's do, okay, if you like books to movies, but we've got a bunch of them on here. We've got Ready Player One, which would make a great choice. If you liked the Steven Spielberg movie, you might try the book, or if you've read the book, definitely see the movie because it's one of the two that I really think work nicely in both formats. If I Stay by Gail Forman, another good choice, book to movie. This is the story of a 17-year-old girl who's injured in an accident at the beginning of the book and has to make a difficult choice about whether she stays or whether she moves on to somewhere else. If you read this one already, you might try the sequel, which would be another great choice to find out what happens to her after that first book. If you are a reluctant reader, you're not someone that really loves to read, you might try What Happened to Cass McBride. This one will grab you from the beginning because we open with the main character in an interrogation room with the police because they know he knows where Cass is buried, but he won't tell them, and Cass's time is running out. So that's where you're going to start your story. Imagine how good it gets as they try to find her and why she's there in the first place. Some of it, I wonder if she could have a role to play and why she ended up there. I got lots of John Green books on here, so if you like The Fault in Our Stars and you haven't read Looking for Alaska or Paper Towns or Turtles All the Way Down, all good choices. You'll notice that I have book talks for some of these titles here by me. I also have some book trailers that were created by our Writing for Film and Media students. So they'll just give you another vantage point about the book that you want to choose. Let's keep going. We'll see if we got some other things on here that make good choices. All right. Oh, Those Who Wish Me Dead. Okay, if you like a mystery, this might make a good one. It's an adventure story. It's about a boy named Jace, and Jace witnesses a crime that puts him in the witness protection program. To try to hide him before the trial begins, he gets dropped into an outward bound program. So the kids are going off the grid and they're going to spend their time off the grid for the entire summer. But guess what? Trouble follows him right out into the wilderness, and that's where the story gets good. If you like, let's see, what else do we have here? If you're a big Endgame fan, if you liked Batman, the movie, if you're looking forward to Spider-Man this summer, you might try a superhero book. There's a good series that are out now, and this is one of them, Batman Nightwalker, which are created by YA authors, and they tell a different version of the origin story of the particular character. So you see in this one, Bruce Wayne, who's Batman, is just graduating high school, and you get the beginning of his story from that vantage point. Let's see, what else do we have here? Ooh, should we do Silo? Silo by DJ McHale. If you liked Pendragon, the series, this might make a good choice for you. This is the first in a series, and it is about a town in Maine, an island town, where something is happening off the coast, and that something gets interesting one night when there's a huge flash of light, and then suddenly the Navy decides that the town must be quarantined for its own safety. But maybe the people off the coast aren't quite as honest and upstanding as we think they are in the beginning when they begin to shoot at people who try to leave the island. Let's see. Bloodwater Paint is a book in verse. This is a new one about Artemisia Gentileschi. You don't have to be able to say her name to enjoy the book. She was a 17th century artist who worked in her father's studio and had a really interesting life. Her paintings are gorgeous, and the book is really well written. So you might try that. Let's see. Ooh, One of Us is Lying. Okay, now One of Us is Lying, I'm going to pair with those of you that read And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. If you liked that, you might try this because this is a group of students who go into a detention room, and in that classroom, someone dies. Now, there were a limited number of people in the room, so someone has to be involved somehow. And the mystery is trying to figure out which one of these characters is actually telling you the truth and which one of them is completely unreliable. So One of Us is Lying might make a great choice, as would 10, which you can tell is an Agatha Christie retelling. So again, if you like that kind of style of writing, those might make great choices for you for summer reading. When Dimple Met Rishi is my favorite romance of the last 5 years, hands down. Dimple is heading off to Stanford in the fall, and she's amazed when she actually convinces her parents that they're going to let her go to InsomniaCon, which is a big conference in the web development community. And that's when she meets Rishi. And Rishi, believe it or not, is the person that her parents think would be perfect for her. But he comes off as a complete stalker. She drowns him in her iced coffee, and that's where their journey begins. So if you think that might be a good book for you, try that one. There's so many good choices here. It's so hard for me to scroll through. Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. If you haven't read this one, so good. And it's a book in verse, so it reads quickly. 15-year-old Will has just witnessed his brother's murder, and he goes up to his apartment to retrieve his brother's handgun to go out and take revenge. The story of this book is the elevator ride down from his apartment. And each floor, when the elevator stops, someone gets on, and that someone makes a difference in what his ultimate choice will be. Follow his journey here, and you can hear me talk about this book in more detail here as well. Sports books. Oh, if you like basketball, this is a great choice. These are two boys that grew up in the same neighborhood in Camden, New Jersey. Bunny and Nasir. Bunny has gotten himself a scholarship to an elite private high school with a really great basketball program that roots their kids right into the top teams that are in contention in March Madness. And he's hoping he'll go to a Division I school and go on to the NBA. Nasir will not forgive him for leaving him behind when he chose to switch schools. Um, and their friendship is complicated. So they make good choices and bad choices throughout the book. After the shot drops, we'll grab you and hold you. So make sure that you read it all the way to the end. I've got other books on here, which you can see. I've got everything from Harry Potter to other choices that have come out recently that might make good reads for you. Between Shades of Grey, coming out as a movie soon. They've changed the title for the movie, but it's going to be a good one. So, oh, and this is exciting. So if you like Neal Shusterman, if you read Unwind and you like him as an author, I've got Dry on here, which is his newest standalone, and I've got Scythe, which I loved, which is also the first in a trilogy. But here's the exciting thing. We are going to get Neal Shusterman to come here for an author visit in November. So if you want to be one of the participants in that author visit, reading one of these books would be a great start. So again, good choice if you want to read them. Dear Martin, fantastic book, one of my favorites. Martin's such a good kid. How could he be in the trouble he's in? Because he's a really good kid. Find out if you want to read that one by Nick Stone. Hate You Give was out in the movies, and we also have On the Come Up, which I haven't read yet, but I will be reading over the summer, so look for my review. And we've got tons here, but I have to skip ahead so that I can tell you more about the site itself. So that's our fiction recommendations. Anything that you click on down at the bottom is going to take you back to the page where you started, so you can't get lost here. Again, we've done the same thing for classics. All right. And I do have a little bit of an explanation, which those of you that are destined for honors level English this fall will want to read. That's a separate screencast where you'll hear me talk more about our expectations for you as a reader as an honors student. Okay. I've also included, because not everyone loves fiction, I've included some nonfiction choices. And the nonfiction choices are pretty varied. And you can kind of page through those as well and see if there's anything here that's going to grab you. Again, you've got a description, you've got the cover of the book to give you kind of a preview of what it's all about. Now, the other thing that's here, and we're going to click back so we can get back to that page. All right, the other thing that's here is we have two ways that you can participate over the summer. If you're the kind of person like me, I love to read something and then tell people about it. And I tend to do that on Twitter, but if you like to kind of comment and share what you're reading, here's two ways you can do it. You can come to our sharing site and you can click on the little corkboard here and you can put down your double click and you can paste your own comment about what you just read. Okay. Then you can also do a Flipgrid. If you like Flipgrid, and I know you use that a lot at the middle school, you can leave me a review of what you read via Flipgrid. So two good choices, ways to participate. Now, finally on this list, you'll notice I've got this joining the journey picture and icon down at the bottom of each page. And this is going to be other ways you could participate. So South Brunswick Public Library, who we love, has a fantastic teen reading program that you definitely should participate in. They've got lots of summer programs and contests, things that you can participate in throughout the year, but especially during the summer. Barnes & Noble down in Lawrenceville has some events that they are hosting during the summer. They may include evening visits by favorite YA authors, which are always good to keep on your radar, so that link is here. The Home News Tribune, one of our local newspapers, has a summer reading contest. Last summer, they gave out tickets to the Somerset Patriots if you were readers with them. So there are your choices. Can't wait to meet you. If you have any questions, send me an email. Thanks, guys.